Welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast, Jordan Robb.
Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for joining us, mate. And you've got the pleasure of just joining me solo. Nick's already bailed out to go and pick up his kids because he's not got childcare. So, mate, this will be a good conversation because we've known each other for many years as well.
Absolutely, yeah. See how it goes.
Aye. Listeners are going to want that maybe aren't aware of you, don't know who you are as well. Mm-hmm. By the time you go and retire from investment, you will be the longest serving landlord, because when did you buy your first investment property?
So I think I was exactly 19 year old when I bought the first one.
And how old are you now?
What am I now? 35.
It's pretty much been your full solo career is to grow and build a buy-to-let portfolio. Aye.
Absolutely. I've literally never had a job before.
So this is going to be a phenomenal chat as well. Like, you're going to hear it from someone young starting out to growing it into it's the lifestyle that's given you and your family now as well.
Absolutely.
So let's go for this. Start at the beginning then. Talk us a wee bit about your kind of upbringing and where you grew up and what was your aspirations as you were growing up and what you wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think like it went. I can go back really far. Like, I remember literally being 12, 13, and I've only ever known round about me family and friends of my dad's, and all they ever done was business and what have you. My dad had his own business from literally day one, albeit it was the type of business he had to put the hours in. I mean, 6 to 7 hour weeks. Do you know what I mean?
What was your dad's business again? Was it?
He was actually in hairdressing. So he had a hairdressers, and just kind of.
So it was very much that time for money business, but it was still business.
Yeah, I mean, he employed 10 staff, so a big chunk of that was obviously managing the staff, and mostly female, so it took quite a bit of management.
No, absolutely, no. Actually, that gives you a right inspiration for business when you were from a young age. Yeah,
and even like grandparents and all that sort of stuff, they were always working for themselves and all that sort of thing. So that's kind of had that implemented.
Property was never part of any of the families, was it? It was something that wasn't done yet. No,
not at all. We inherited, like my dad inherited one property from my gran, and technically that was a buy to let, and I now own that today, sort of thing. Yeah. So yeah, there was that element, and then even some of his friends and stuff. I remember he had friends, or even more of a client. They were quite a big investor, round about sort of Fife and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was always aware of it.
But no aspirations really. But I suppose even at school, then, did you know you wanted to go into business at some point?
100%.
You just knew it wasn't going to be a career or a job for you.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember just like doing your sort of career stuff, your career advisor stuff like that, and I just there was nothing that I fancied. Mm-hmm. And I think I started off thinking, like, you need to get a skill. Yeah. Skills are important. And I thought, like, and I kind of thought of property, but I don't think I was quite there. I just thought, I looked at what my dad done, looked at having a business, and I think I went down the route of thinking like becoming a tradesman. But then also know like I'm not probably the hardest of workers out there, sort of physically anyway. So I think after thinking about that, and I can even remember my dad getting a sort of chat from a guy. They came round to the house on the dining table. I must have been 12, 13 years old, and it was that ACN, the telephones and that, like MLM market, whatever you call it. And I can remember that concept quite well, and that kind of always stuck with me. Effectively residual income and more kind of the time freedom. So I even remember saying,
you work and build up that team and do that for you.
Yeah, I'll do that one day type thing. And that kind of all evolved, and I almost went off it. And I started going down like studying like business management, and I wanted to do business or that sort of thing.
Because you were at Kinross High School.
Kinross High School, aye.
Did you go to university or college from high school?
Yeah. So first of all, I was. The very first thing after school was I kind of got out was pretty much as soon as I could. As good as I leave. I mean, I'd actually done alright with my qualifications and stuff. Tried to look at doing that idea of getting a trade. That just never happened. And that's where I just fell into the sort of going down to study sort of business, but I never went that far with it. And then I fell into other things, and back to that ACN thing I mentioned. I actually discovered the utility warehouse. Oh yeah, exact same thing.
But that first started years ago. Like
so that's when as soon as I was 18, because you had to be 18, I'm sure, to join. And then through that, which was technically I wasn't successful at that, but it was through that I met other people that were actually doing property as well. And it was them that started to steal me into that sort of circle, these sort of circles where you start to meet folk, and then I just built upon there. So I was 18, 19 when I had that vision. And
so what did that teach you then, that utility warehouse thing? Did that kind of give you quite an inspiration on your network and I suppose marketing and business owners? I suppose they were all individual business owners, weren't they, really?
Ultimately, yeah. I mean, looking back, you think a lot of that, it's the fundamentals that doesn't really change on the business really. A lot for me is probably the mindset, which I've always done a little bit on, but I've never done enough. It's actually one thing I've been working on more the last couple of years when I've not been focusing so much on the growth sort of thing. But yeah, you look back and it's all these just ultimately these fundamentals, the mindset and onto that sort of marketing, and it's amazing how I'm even learning now, like everyone revolves around sales, and I've never seen myself as being salesy, but it's amazing how like you almost have to be.
In every business,
business and life. In a way, you have to be persuasive. And all
you're selling yourself to your missus to
100%.
Can you pick up from school the nursery today because I need to go do a podcast?
100%. Yeah,
that's interesting. Actually, that's quite a good way of looking at it. And you're right. I suppose when you go into property as well as a property investor, you don't think you've got anything to do with sales because you're just like, no, I've got an asset collector.
Yeah, and you're negotiating on a deal, because it's a form of negotiation from a sales, isn't it? So everyone just come under that.
Yeah. So the first people you were speaking at the utility warehouse, do you remember who you met and the conversations you had with them that kind of gave you that spark for property?
Yeah, I mean, there was a few people. There was some of the guys doing it, and I think it was a guy that was local, Willie. We know as well.
Willie Beveridge.
Aye.
Was he involved in utility warehouse?
Aye, that's what I met him.
I never knew that.
And it was him probably. He was. There was a few inspirational. Let's call it inspirational people. That just sort of helped me knowing where I needed to start off. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I tend to keep in touch with him now, not so much recently. But
he's going to spend a lot of time out in Spain now, isn't he?
That's right.
He was quite an inspiration to me as well, actually, when I think about it.
Yeah, because it was actually him that introduced me to you.
Yeah.
Informally. So we were going back to, like, obviously we've known each other. Is the fact that we didn't realise we literally stayed in the same village.
300 yards for each other.
So as you know, I kind of more so grew up in Kinross because my grandparents lived there. As I said, my dad working all the time. I ended up obviously going to my grandparents a lot.
And where we are, you've got a split. You can go 5 mile to Kinross, which is outside Fife. And at Fife and Kinross, or you can go to Belbaxter, and I went to Belbaxter, and you went to Kinross, so that's why we probably never ever crossed paths.
Never crossed paths at all, did we? And it was when it was actually Billy that said that I think we're at a networking event. I was speaking to this other young guy, similar to yourself type thing, and I'm sure he's from the same village you're from.
And you're like, can he be? There's 100 people staying in the village. Like,
exactly.
Can he be?
So I was like, I have to go and speak to him, and that's actually probably how we very first met and spoke.
That's interesting. Because Willie's got an interesting character as well, because he did have a decent portfolio, maybe 20 units, 20 units.
Absolutely.
And it was kind of all money out deals at the 2006, 2007, 2008. So he's quite... And he's not what you would call a typical property investor. That I suppose from me anyway, you think a property investor is like somebody that's middle-aged with money and they've got a white-collar career and they've got a lot of income, and Willie's just fucking the total opposite. So I think he showed me that mindset of, it doesn't really matter. Anybody can make an income in property.
I know, when you look at his sort of backstory and he came from the trades, and effectively my understanding is he'd done it with very little initial capital.
Almost nothing. I think he broke his back actually. And I'm sure he come across something in a magazine or something about like a Robb Moore was selling something like all money out or no money in day one remos.
That's what he done. He went down to Peterborough when Robb Moore was mainly just doing the property education. He'd done the year's masterclass, whatever it is.
It's interesting. That's really interesting. So something like that would quite inspire you.
And it's funny how all these things cross. So
what year would that have been then?
That would have been, so when I was 18 going on 19, so that would have been 09, 2000.
Yeah, so he'd been a few years into it, but he'd probably have built his portfolio up.
I think he was hitting at 10 so in his portfolio and stuff like that.
Do you remember what the I suppose the economy and everything was like in 2009 when you were thinking about property, but obviously the doom and gloom is property markets crash and it's banks and all lending and all this kind of stuff. Did you think pessimistically on the property at the time, or did you think, there's an opportunity here?
Both, I would say definitely both. So like looking back, and it's all that and even you start bringing things like my maturity and experience. I had no experience. You know what I mean? Always being at that age, compared to other people that start off when they tend to be 30s, 40s or sort of thing.
With some life experience and a bit of capital and and
there wasn't the same you get nowadays with likes of this doing the podcasts and all that sort of thing. There was books and there was courses, but actually
they were English based, weren't they? Really, there wasn't nothing available.
100%.
That spoke to us really.
So I mean, I've always been quite sort of risk aware. I mean, not completely. You always have to take a risk. You never get anywhere. Do you know what I mean? But I'm definitely pessimistic.
You are quite pessimistic. You're quite good at risk mitigation.
I suppose that's what it is that risk mitigation, which on one hand works well, but on the other hand, it does stall you as well, but it's getting that fine balance is the key.
But it keeps you safe as well.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of investors would go nuts and invest in. Almost throw caution to the wind. But I suppose you starting in a marketplace when it'd be quite depressed. It's maybe installed a bit of pessimism into you.
Yeah, because I was aware of how it dropped and having no experience. Like I didn't even know what it was like when it was the hot market, because I never knew anything about property then. And just on like, can it fall further? What does that mean? So you had to
I put money in, am I losing even more money?
Exactly. Exactly. And even like just taking on the thought of taking on debt, and you have to understand that people think, like I was speaking to somebody just the other day is wanting to move house, and they're like, I don't want to get any more debt. And I'm just like, but it's a type of debt. It's a debt that you're always going to be working. You've got a decent career. Like, don't stall your lifestyle and stuff like that for the fear of debt, because at the end of the day, that's always an underlying asset. It can drop. It happened back in certainly 2008 and stuff like that. But don't be worried about sort of that sort of debt.
It's a good point. So what was when you started going to these events and kind of speaking to people, what was the initial plan then? Did you just think buy to let portfolio?
100%. So,
I mean, I suppose there would have been no really strategies that were in your face back then. It'd just be a case of you buy properties and you hold them.
I never really thought about flips. I think if I go back at the beginning, I think before you even really got going, I think I did think about flips. So tailing back to when I was thinking of doing a trade and all that sort of thing, was flips would be the way to do it. I never actually thought of the buy to let. Then obviously went down that route.
I suppose a utility warehouse thinking about
financial
passive
freedom
income
and all that.
Financial freedom's giving you that. That's assets that are giving an income.
Definitely buy to let. And it depends like who you sort of learn from and stuff. So like initially, I probably was going down that whole money out thing. I did actually. I already had some built up money, had some inheritance and all that as well. So I didn't really need to do the whole money out thing. I done a few certainly, and then I just structured it in a way where if I don't go down that route of taking the money out, it's there to be taken.
Yes,
and that's one thing that's still key today. Like I've probably bought a few properties in the last few years where some have just been cash purchases. And
left for no mortgage.
It's left that way. Because you're looking at the overall picture of
the portfolio leverage. And if you want it, it's there.
So definitely a slow growth. And then it wasn't until I sort of went a bit further and ended up speaking to more like an investment firm based in Edinburgh. And they kind of a lot of their clients were doing the sort of flips.
Right.
And then that was betting that's the way I can actually make
more money,
chunks of capital, more capital to put into buy to lets, and it won't stall me because I was only going to obviously get to a stage where unless I remortgage constantly, I'm only going to buy so many.
So what was the starting pot then? Do you remember?
Sorry,
what was your starting pot if you remember?
Starting pot, it was probably like 50 grand. It was under 100 anyway.
So just to give to give listeners a bit of perspective, it's inheritance. It's a wee bit of inheritance. It's not fucking. I wasn't left millions of pounds and I just go buy a portfolio. It was only a small amount that you had to grow the portfolio. And I was at 19 then, so you wouldn't be like get the mortgage, buy to let mortgage. You know what I mean?
I was able to get some, but I quite often had to go down a joint mortgage. So I brought sort of my dad in to help me get more mortgages because there was some.
Because I said, like, people look at that and they're like, "Oh, I'm only 19 now. Can I get a portfolio?" And you were obviously creative back then. And go, "Well, can I put my dad in the mortgage then just to get the mortgage and money?" Yeah,
it was lender specific. You know what I mean? So there was ones out there that you could do. If I remember right, I think it was at Birmingham Midshires. They initially were allowing up to 10, then they cut it to 3.
Right.
And I think there was another lender that you needed to have an income, and I never had an income. Like, I think I worked once for about 3 months.
It's a great story for people listening to it as well. It's like fucking to go all into like property, not start a massive pot to make it work.
But then I had to develop that pot. You mean to get to where I got to? I would have been limited to buying 10 properties and very slow growth. But obviously,
I mean that'd have been a good going as well. Recycling money back at the 40-50 grand pot as well. Do you remember the first one you bought?
Yes, a 3-bed flat, Kirkcaldy.
Link Street.
Aye, spot on,
Oh no.
But I remember,
you still got that?
Yes, I've got that.
Great, that's quite an interesting story. So what, 2009, has there been capital and appreciation in it?
There has.
Is that right? Okay.
Aye, there has.
So what price did you get that for?
48,000.
48. Was that a discounted deal?
Yeah, so I think I got a valuation of 60.
Right, aye. So there's a bit of discount straight away from the first one you bought.
Got a discount,
mortgage, straight on a mortgage then with a discount?
Yeah, aye.
So like what, 10, 12 grand in the fees and stuff into it from the pot.
Aye. And there was a few grand tied up to get it lettable.
And then what kind of cash flow would that have gave you?
It was decent, sort of £300 mark. Mortgage was £150. Something like that. Do you mean it wasn't much back then? Do you mean?
So that kind of started the ball rolling. Then did that give you a bit of fire then? Oh fuck! Oh, this worker, or was it scaring you? Like,
no, it wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't phased at all by it. Do you mean it was? Because that's how I started.
As a 19-year-old, you're taking 40 grand of debt on. Ultimately,
I think I'd done enough with the mindset stuff back then
to know that this is the good debt.
To know it's the right way to go. And it just kind of kept going from there. But as well was it's more that developing that cash capital that was key. Right. You get, so you don't spend all the money on the cash flow, you can remortgage. But it wasn't until I started really doing the flips and stuff within a couple of years that I really was able to take off, and obviously then really build upon that. And buy
how many did you go in the buy to let then before you went for a flip?
How many
buy to lets did you go for before you went for a flip? Did you get
probably less than 10?
Was it? So it was enough to...
Yeah, probably 8 or 9 or something. And that wasn't... that was my fastest growth period.
That first year or two?
First 2-3 years, But
then, suppose looking back, it was probably a phenomenal time to buy.
Oh, absolutely,
okay, Link Street, Kirkcaldy is probably not the greatest example of it, but have you got an example of something you bought in those first couple of years and it's went up in capital, as well as you bought it at a discount, you've got cash flow, and then it's just went up to where we're at just now? Probably you're sort of like a 3-bed in Dunfermline type idea. 100%.
So and again, you were buying it like 80, but probably less than 80 to be fair. They're probably valued at 80, 90, the valuation.
65.
You're buying it at 65, 70. And as you know, you could be 170 now, give or take.
So that's good. Yeah, there's been good growth in the capital value, a lot of stuff. But I suppose back starting out then, did you look for the low hanging fruit, kind of low end stock that's just play it safe?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's how it started out. Do you mean like the kind of low end properties, the effective under 75,000 was that first couple of years, and again, it's going back again because I was so young and didn't really have any idea. I wasn't able to push higher until kind of the latter sort of growth stages.
So that first couple of years then was the strategy basically your sub 75 grand flats. Did you refinance them after the 6 months or pull extra money back at them to kind of go to the valuation? Or?
And initially, and then again, probably not all of them, but some of them. And it wasn't until going on to it wasn't until I really properly started doing flips. And it was almost a trade. Like you were flipping one or keeping one, and you were kind of going between the two all the time, and the more you're flipping, the more you could actually hold on to.
Aye, so you got to that point. I'm assuming you got to the point where the saturation kind of, and where the cash is out now. You've got 8 or 9 properties here, and you're bringing in cash flow. You've kind of, I suppose, give yourself financial freedom a couple of years of work straight from 19 to 21.
Yeah, I mean, it was I would almost like say it was constant financial freedom I had, because like as I've grown,
at 19 you maybe don't need much more than a few hundred quid.
Exactly. Like living with my dad and stuff, like hardly any money at all. And then obviously just like throughout the years, as I've focused on growing the portfolios, as I've had bigger spending habits.
I use you as an example all the time. Every time I speak to someone as a young person, I use you as an example all the time. Because if we're only a few years of difference, and then when I had started more in property, it was always that focus on your own home. Right. And it was like, Kelly wants this house, we need to go back to Dunfermline, we'll renovate, we'll flip this one as our own home, we'll buy a bigger home. But obviously your capital pot's getting put in your own home, which gives you no growth as an investment. And when I see young people, I always give them the example of you, like you and I kind of going in that same direction, but you going from someone that's just happily, I'm staying with my dad's, I'm going to invest everything back in the portfolio, I'm not going for my own house, and your portfolio like fucking skyrocketed that first few years at a young age, because you didn't, like you say, you didn't need any massive outlays.
No, exactly.
Don't go for a massive lifestyle. You need to go and, I need $4,000 to get by. Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or I need to live in this certain house, I need to drive that certain car. I was like, right, let's just get the assets built up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's interesting. Like I mean, it shows what's possible with the right mindset from a young age. Because at 19 and 20, 21, like you could be financially free because, like you say, you've got no financial commitments early on.
Fancy making £1,500 for sending a WhatsApp? Let's take a wee break to talk about referring sellers to John and Lewis at Prime Property Auctions. The boys have paid out over £350,000 in referral fees. Myself and Stephen have both done it, and it couldn't be easier.
If you know someone selling a property, the guys will pay you £1,500 or 1% of the sale price, whatever is higher, just for passing their details. Doesn't matter if the seller is already on with an agent or not, as long as you're in direct contact with the seller, just drop the guys a message and they'll do everything from the first call to getting the property sold. If you know someone might be looking to sell or struggling to get the result with their own agent, go to the link in the show notes and send them a message now.
Right.
So what point then, take us to the point where you're like thinking about then flips, and you're thinking about, right, the shit, the cash pot's going, how do I need to keep growing? I need more money.
Yeah, so when I was introduced to that kind of strategy of doing the flips, must have went through, it must have been a 3, 4, potentially 5 year period where, yeah, every other month I was getting something, basically. So I kind of got to the stage where buying 5, 6 properties a year, maybe sometimes more, and I was, probably flipping half of them on. And obviously, again, looking back, I kind of wish I kept some more of them. And that's one lesson to be learned there as well, is somebody sticking to the plan. So I had the plan, like I said, you buy one, you buy one to keep, buy one to flip type thing. So but then there was a few that I was either meant to keep. I was trying to think of a couple of examples. I think it's one of the early ones. It was in Edinburgh, 2-bedroom flat. A lot of the stuff that I was getting was like part of a portfolio. So the investment company would sit in the middle. They'd maybe buy some themselves. They would maybe then they brought investors in. Some bought a couple, some bought one.
Sell them off.
To basically sell them off. And I remember being told, like, you could buy 2 here, and then what that would mean is you can flip one on, make your 30 grand profit or whatever, and then effectively that's like maybe a lower mortgage or whatever you can have on the second one. I keep that one. And then my name was down for 2 of them, but when I came to it, I was like, nah, just want to get one. Do you mean? Because I was only probably 22 at that time or something. Do you mean?
I suppose buying a couple of flats in Edinburgh would be quite a big thing.
I know. I'm jumping from these sort of Fife ones, sort of thing that are more low to jumping up to that sort of level.
What would you remember the areas and what price they were?
So that was in Broughton. And that was, I think, 110 or 120, something like that was the purchase price.
What do they go off now?
At least 220.
So doubled in value.
Yeah, exactly. And if I stuck to that strategy where, so I did do one of them, and I sold that one on. And funny enough, I'd done a part exchange on it, so I still own the part exchange at the moment on Easter Road in Edinburgh,
right?
Which has worked really well as well.
You own the part exchange one you took for that?
Yes, when I sold the one there in Broughton, I took the part exchange.
That's an example. What talk us through that one actually? Because not many people would do that.
No, I've certainly looked at quite a few part exchanges, and I've not concluded on all of them. But that's one good example where it was kind of off market. It was somebody upgrading from 1 bed to a 2-bed, better area, slightly better area, you could argue as well.
And you get a premium on the one you've flipped almost, but you get a deal on the one that they're telling
on other one as well. And then other examples as well where maybe again I never stuck to the plan. I mind, and because you bring in your emotions and stuff you hear, and it kind of creates a cloud, and then you go that the emotions can force the wrong sort of decision.
Do you think that's an external factors make you make decisions based on what you've seen around you?
Exactly. Another one I want to mention was I bought one. It was definitely one to keep. I think I bought 2 at the same time. Sold off the bigger one that was low yielding sort of thing,
right?
And I kept this one, and I remember there was an issue with the factor. There was huge factor fees, so it was kind of affecting the cash flow. They weren't really doing what they were meant to be doing, which is a usual, quite often be a usual for a factor. And somebody tipped me off about some sort of stuff that was going on in the block and what have you, and I just thought, you know what, tenants have just moved out, rather than reletting it, I'm going to sell it. Another example, I think I bought that for like the 120 mark, sold it for say 30 grand profit or whatever. But again, you're 100 grand on again from where it was. You mean?
And so you had a cash loan asset for that whole time.
I know that cash flow. Don't get me wrong, that capital got redeployed.
Yes,
but I think definitely stick to your plan. Like don't let these external factors drive decisions.
Do you think you can be pig-headed when it comes to sticking to a plan though? Like if you were going in and saying, well, I'm building a portfolio and I'm not selling any, but some of them, the telltale signs told you to sell it or things like that as well. Do you think it's almost like listening to yourself and listening to what's else around you? You
have to be able to adapt, and things change. Like you have to have your sort of goals in place, and that's important. Like if you don't plan to fail type thing.
Yeah.
But everything moves. You've got to be able to pivot.
Yeah, we've had that many times in ventures we've did where it doesn't really set out the way you've wanted to go, and you just pivot and you go and change in direction, and you go
exactly,
right. Here's
but then
different exits.
You're using potentially data or whatever. You're not letting in like that sort of emotion. You're not even listening to people. You're just having to make that decision. And sometimes you go in the offset of having more than one plan as well. Do you mean for your exit and stuff? So long as if you're aware of what your different plans are, and just don't let some external factor change that.
That's quite fun. That's quite a good tip, actually. Quite a good tip for listeners that are in my plan. What about the kind of talking about external factors? People maybe looking at it from the positive, the shiny penny objects. Like you'll have seen this over the years where it's commercial or residential is the hot topic. It's HMOs. It's now SA. I know you've got different strategies that you do in the portfolio as well. But if you ever went down that route of getting deluded and getting distracted and going, oh fuck, this looks really good, I hear people talking about this, I'm going to go and jump into another strategy, and it didn't work out and you're thinking I should just up to my buy to let.
So yeah, it's a mixture of like, again, being able to adapt, and effectively I've pretty much done everything out there when it comes to property. Do you know what I mean? Pretty much it's been, the main part has been just straight up buy to let portfolio, but then you then get taken off into like HMOs, better quality assets, better cash flow assets, maybe bringing in...
You got a good one in Edinburgh, haven't you? That's the HMO and just off Greyfriars. Yeah,
I've got a couple in Edinburgh. So the one that I've owned the longest is sits off that down from was it Candlemaker Road, Greyfriars Bobby. Just down from there. That was one where I purchased it as a 3-bed HMO. It was probably the first one I paid market value for. Right. But again, I seen Edinburgh, that potential. Yep. And that was after these ones I mentioned where I never stuck to the plan. That was after that. And I had quite a plan in place, and I've stuck to that plan to this day. So first opportunity, I seen you could make it into a 4-bed because it had a separate kitchen. A really large L-shaped sort of living room. So I was able to take that L-shaped part, put the kitchen in there. Went through obviously all that, but it was listed building, so a lot of hoops to jump through.
Listed building consent and planning and building warrant as well.
But right away you're adding 10-20% of value. So back then, it would have been easily 50 grand in value for and the renovation
15-20 grand renovation or something.
The renovation needed done anyway. So like that was quite a good one. The kitchen was tired anyway, so it
was needing done.
Yeah, it was needing done anyway.
So just move it.
It's as simple as that. But then more importantly, the cash flow was about, and now more than ever. So
did that go up to then? What was that? What would it have been as a 3-bed, and what did it go?
So I would have been getting $550 a room back then initially, and then right away you're adding an extra 25% by adding that extra room, an additional $550, aren't you? And obviously that's grown substantially.
So that was 160 then. How many years ago was that then? So what? 8 years ago, 9 years?
Yeah, probably something like that,
So what's that worth now, do you reckon?
The room rate?
The capital value.
Capital value. I done very recently, I was just sort of tying down all my values again recently. And that one was a bit tricky. So like if somebody offered me 500k for it, I would say no.
Nice, that good at cash flow.
Yeah,
that's good.
If I got a valuer put in there, I think it would be low to mid 400s.
Wow, that's some growth, isn't it?
And I paid some growth. 240 for it.
You paid 240 for it?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
That's good.
But yeah,
that's some growth.
The commercial valuation on, HMO properties come in as low as 6% in Edinburgh. I've seen 5% and lower. I think even based on like a 7.5% value, you're probably 600k.
And investors will buy that in Edinburgh based on that return.
They probably won't because they won't get the bricks and mortar value that high. But like that hands down and won't. But I'll probably never sell that property. Do you know what I mean?
But a cash investor would buy it for that kind of money.
And that's kind of where it's been the last few years. And bringing in these better quality assets. So it's not all a numbers game.
Not the volume, it's more the quality and how you asset manage them for what one's giving you the good capital return.
Exactly, because like at the end of the day, I think I did have sort of targets in place, but fundamentally it was that financial freedom target that I had in place. And probably, I can't remember what it was, but it was 25, 30, I think was always the number I had in my head of a number of individual units.
Yeah.
And I've been sitting at that level for the past 5-6 years now.
Between ones you're buying now and ones you're selling off, like the old ones.
Yeah, and there's a few now that I've as I said, don't grow much because there's not as many opportunities that I'm coming across these days. But yeah, like the last one, for example, was another one in Edinburgh, in the new town. That was a 3-bed non-HMO. So couldn't really convert it into an extra room, but added the value on that one just by basically getting the HMO licence through. So you look at your rental yields without the HMO licence, say that would rent for £1,800 or something like that, which is a terrible yield. I mean, that property
400 grand or something.
I think it's worth about, 380 or something like that at the moment. So as you can tell, it's like if you put a hefty mortgage on that, you're making no cash flow. Cash flow now on that is not like a huge amount more. I think it's maybe 2,300 or something like that a month now for a paper exercise, and a little bit of work. I think I had to upgrade the sort of smoke alarms. So you do HMO, the fire safe doors and all that
good
sort of
quality
thing.
asset.
Yeah,
that's good return.
And then I've even stepped a lot into the SA market as well.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a strategy I've used, certainly in the ones in Edinburgh, because tenants tend to move out in the summer.
Yeah. So you utilise the HMOs and for the SA market, especially.
Yes, which was easy before until licensing came in.
I can remember when you first got the Greyfriars one, it was like fucking like the first year, not 10 grand for the month of August or something. Unreal. So is that a strategy that still works well?
I wouldn't say well, it still works. I'm still doing it. So that's a whole different subject when it comes to service accommodation and licence and stuff like that. But like on one of them I've got a full licence.
Right.
And the other one in the new town, I've been doing the temporary licences on that one. And I think the council do recognise that sort of model where you've got these properties lying empty over the summer, even where the tenants are still paying rent, they're not living there, or the tenants are not paying rent and the landlord's got an empty property.
Property sitting there with a liability.
So I've been able to sort of utilise that strategy. Hopefully it'll continue.
So for instance, that one we're talking about, the 4-bed HMO, then if that's what's that in for the now? Actually, we never covered that one because I spoke to 550 before. Is it now up?
It was over £800 a room.
Is it?
Aye.
Phenomenal.
Aye.
I no wonder you didn't want to sell that one. The tenants vacate in what, June? You've got the busy period in July.
Usually June, so
August, September.
July, August,
and obviously September. That's the flipping peak festival season in Edinburgh. So do you just get them straight on Airbnb, get them straight on the portals, and do you have to do any work between them? Do you have to like tar up?
You have to go that extra mile because obviously these people expect a better quality, better service. So you do tar them up, and it's quite difficult. Basically, doing even when it comes to things like the furniture, having it suitable for students without going too over the top, but then have it suitable. When you don't want to move, it's too much work to move furniture around. Do you know what I mean? I was going to say, have you got furniture in the garage sitting there for like there's the festival period ones? I thought that's just too much work. I mean, even like every other year, you've got to give it like a paint and stuff like that, and you always end up doing something because you don't want to have it lying empty too long as well. When you're getting these sort of nightly rates in Edinburgh.
What kind of nightly rate would you get on the 4-bed then in the peak season?
I've had everything from peak season.
Oasis.
That was a grand a night.
Oh, that's unreal.
But during the festival, you're probably £500.
That's good though.
Aye.
So it's still bringing a phenomenal return.
Yeah. So actually, when I was talking earlier about sort of the yield and stuff, I just based that evaluation only on the students. I haven't based it on because that's not guaranteed with what's going on right now. Even though I believe it will almost be being recognised just for doing it for a few months. If I factor that yield in, it'll grow again. That commercial valuation.
It's nuts when you look at that because really you're not talking about a bricks and mortar valuation of a 4-bed flat. And there you're looking at well, here's what it brings in for the 9 months of the year for the students, and here's what it brings in for 3 months of the year and the festival period as well. That's a really good shout. There's quite a diverse conversation already because you're looking at it from a 3-bed flat in Lincolnshire Body worth fucking 48 grand to a £500,000 flat in Edinburgh that's bringing in fucking £10,000 a month.
Exactly.
That's good. You touched on kind of SA. Is that the only SAs that you've kind of diversified the portfolio into?
Yeah, pretty much. I've never really went in full time. But it's always a strategy that is there. And again, just with having covered everyone off over the 15 years I've been, no, probably 16 years now that I've been doing it. If any opportunities do arise, I know I can just step into it.
Yeah. I talk a wee bit about flips and developments, because it's something that we've done a lot of as well before, but that's been a big part of your strategy.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy flips as much as the buy-to-lets, or do you quite like the process and the management of the buy-to-lets?
It depends how I look at it. I mean, obviously that was the initial enjoyment, was knowing that you're making these chunks of money, and not just, so you had the fundamental of both. It was just allowed to buy more, as we discussed. But then it's quite nice sort of bringing something up, going a bit further, because sometimes you hold back a bit with a rental. I know there's that old thing, well, it's just a rental type thing, which I've probably done in the early days and maybe not so much now. So when you've done the flips, you kind of went that bit further, better quality of finish, and then you kind of got that end result, end gratification at the end of it, and knowing what you've done. And
a bit of satisfaction too.
Satisfaction, that's word, satisfaction.
To turn it over from what it was to what it is now.
Aye, 100%. And then you can go off in so many ways with that as well. There's just there's strategies of where you maybe buy a portfolio and sell some off and flip some of them. There's more development, like what we've done with some commercial conversions, land development, and loads of different structures, isn't there?
Remember that fucking panic? I don't know if I've ever shared the story in the podcast, like the panic on the Viewfield Terrace commercial residential, where you're just getting told the rent value is just not going to be where we think it is. Now I'm like, nah, after all my due diligence and my research, and like, you're just all the local experts are like, nah.
I know.
And then obviously I'm at the end and we're like, you want to push for the better finishes to get the better price, and you're going for fucking oak flooring and trying to get the landscaping done right, and you're like, if we scrimp now to try and save our bacon or break even what they're saying, or do we try and just go all out? And it was like, you kind of dig down deep, put the money into it, and flip and hope for the best. And but they always worked out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, they always worked out.
I think do you find that panic as well when you're at that point where, are you going to get what you think you're going to get? Or is it going to be less, or is it not going to sell? Or
I don't know if I've ever really panicked. I've not really been, but I mean, it's kind of a bit worrying putting more and more money into something and going over a budget. That's a bit that I don't like, but I think,
which probably happens most projects do.
Yeah, and it does, especially these days. It's more difficult to control than ever. But I remember on that one, like, we were spending on a kitchen what I would normally do a whole refurb.
Seeing the fear in your eyes.
And you're paying a painter like $5,000 just for his labour and that, but your normal place used to be like 500 quid one day.
Yeah, I know.
So that was, but then it's just that stepping up. Do you mean it's just doing that more higher end development stuff?
How would you manage that? We're kind of touching a lot about mindset there. Like, how would you manage that mindset and growth from smaller projects, a lot of buy-to-lets, where you know there's no really much risk? You're getting a discount, you put a mortgage on, you're getting a cash flow, it's fine.
So do you say lower end buy-to-lets or?
Sorry, lower end is going for bigger projects, bigger scale, bigger flips, bigger.
Yeah, I mean, once you've got your back and once you've got that portfolio in place, you know you've got your income secure. And that's where I've been. There's even things I've not realised. So I've done a little bit of work on my mindset, and I've always done very little bits, but I've never done enough. And it's not been until maybe more recent, obviously. Lots of circumstances have changed with me maturing and looking back and thinking at the stages where I was mature, and that was in stages. Even when I met like the likes of yourself, I thought I had grown up and I was mature then compared to when I first started. Yeah. Like I remember going in estate agencies with 19-year-olds, like just like a wee laddie that just came out of school. Do you know what I mean? And there's all these.
You had just out of school.
That was the case. And yeah, where I am now, obviously, I've got a child now, and I'm got a fiance now, and all that sort of things. All these things are changing, and then
does that make you more risk averse then?
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I'm trying to circle back down to that. Like I was saying, you've got that fundamental. No matter what, you've got that. Income's the key part at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, people could have like substantial amount of money, or they could have.
It means nothing really.
Money. It's income is that security. I mean, you tie that risk into it. That's the biggest risk. If you don't have that income, like that is really risky.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be a lot.
No,
and it could be if you've got your thing, if you're whatever, you've got your business, whatever, you're a tradesman, you're making good money. You don't know how sustainable that is with economies and all that sort of stuff. But if you've always got someone in the background, it doesn't have to be property. Yeah. I mean, it can be stocks and shares portfolios, various stuff. I mean, like even where I'm at now, I'm big into diversification at the moment. Again, a big risk factor. So property used to be my business. Whereas now
like
I'm stepping
part of an
back,
investment portfolio,
more an investment portfolio, and just that overall thing, and then it takes you on to like, loads of various investments, even as well as stocks and shares. There's kind of alternative stuff. Like I'm into like watches, whiskey. So I've got like about 50 bottles of whiskey. I've got a whiskey cask. I've got a couple of watches. Number plates is my thing actually.
Yeah, you like number plates.
So I own probably 5, and I'm not talking about these ones that are like 500 quid number plates. Do you know what I mean? I've got probably 5 number plates. 2 of them are what you call 2x2, so it's basically 2 letters, 2 numbers. Going off on a tangent here.
No, that's it's a different investment strategy, a different class.
Yeah, but I suppose these are the things that I'm now almost more passionate about. Where I'm always passionate about property, but the sort of way I'm steering down now.
But if you find some opportunities coming up, you know you can sell these number plates and cash it and buy some good assets.
I wouldn't sell. No. I think like on that one, like number plates is probably the last thing I would sell.
Right.
I'll sell off properties before I sell off my number plates. So I mean, because the good dual purpose, when I suppose
they don't produce income though, which is fundamentally
that's the downside to them.
Yeah.
So but then there's a dual purpose. So take my watch for example, that you can wear as a statement piece, whatever or whatever it is. It looks good. It's like men don't wear jewellery as such. It's that type of thing. Do you know what I mean? If it doesn't go up in value, you've got to use out of it. It stays the same. Even if it goes down in value, do you know what I mean?
You still got to use it.
Number plates to me, that's one of the most interesting ones. So take for example the first probably proper one that I bought, 23JR. So obviously my initials. And what's interesting with that one is the 23 didn't mean anything at all.
Right.
But it turns out my son was born in 2023.
That's quite cool.
So how much that means to me now? So
you're not
I'll never ever sell that. It'd be the last thing I ever sell.
How much did you buy that one for?
14.5.
And what's that? Do you think that's worth now? Double?
At least. So they'll see liquidity with number plates. That's a really interesting one as well. So like effectively,
are they a liquid asset?
No.
No.
Everyone's liquid, but at a price.
At the right price, yeah.
So if I went and got that properly valued at, let's call it like a retail valuation, you're probably looking between, you can't hit a certain number. I mean, you're probably talking 30 to 40,000.
Right, wow.
Retail value. But if I had to sell that this week,
as a quick sale,
if I wanted say it was a month or so, I'd probably looking at 25,000.
Right.
If I needed it done today, I'd maybe get my money back.
Right. So very much like property. Very much any asset class, I suppose.
And then we started off with a conversation on risk, didn't we?
I suppose it's a risk diversification, isn't it?
So that was going down that on diversification, and then another thing that technically is risky is what probably we've both actually done is just using myself as an example. My first and only business for effectively 10 years was a property investment.
Yeah,
I've never had a trading arm to the business, and see the amount of like conversations I've had over the years, the amount of ideas. I mean, we've had them business plans, and I've never went ahead with anything, probably because of the risk. Yeah,
whereas you look at the asset-backed investment businesses, we know how to work out property, negotiate for the right price, do a wee refurb, add some value, you're kind of confident in your market, you just look at it going, there's no fucking risk.
Exactly. And even like we're talking earlier about Viewfield and stuff like that. I mean, if you think of that, like sometimes like, what's your worst case scenario? So let's say I started a brand new business, a cafe or whatever you want to be. You're going to have a number of staff on day one. You're going to have a premises, and just think of all these costs. You're going to have to buy in the products, market and everything like that before you even open the doors. Where with a property, like if you started it and even if you didn't complete it, you can just sell it off. You won't get as much, you probably make a loss, but starting up a cafe would potentially be, to get you through the first couple of months, could be well over the hundreds of thousands.
Hemorrhaging 20 grand a month before you start making an income.
Where that property, if you're taking bridging or whatever on it, and it could be a couple of grand a month or whatever, and if you're doing a renovation, putting money into it, you're increasing the value. And worst case scenario, you're going to walk away and you're going to get most of your money back. Do you know what I mean?
If not all.
If not all.
Because I suppose it's always backed by the asset.
Absolutely. And I've probably had some of the slowest new acquisition period over the last few years, and I've been more busy. Like obviously, like I say, I've got my son in that. I take at least one full day off a week with him.
Would you I suppose when I talk about the risk factor or the risk averse as you get older or have more responsibilities, does that then come into it? Because you're saying like I suppose the less risk is you've got the income. But you imagine if you said, well, do you know what, I saw somebody taking on an apart hotel in Edinburgh and I want to go and do an apart hotel in Edinburgh, but it's going to cost me 10 grand a month on bridging income, and all of a sudden you go fucking deep and you know, we had Caroline Clayton on the podcast talking about like some builder ripped her off for $300,000, and then you've still got the asset, but you're in the hole with fucking $100,000, and then you're not getting the income, and it's you're leveraging it, and then all of a sudden your income you're used to is now getting swallowed up by a big asset that's giving you risk and giving you sleepless nights.
That's the tricky one. That's the tricky one when it does come to risk. Again, it just really depends on what your goal is. If sometimes you need to take that risk, and it's tricky because you could jeopardize what you've already got, and that's another level of risk, not jeopardizing what you've got. Because then if you jeopardize
preservation first,
preservation first, but you don't want to like, you have to always risk a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ultimately, you have to be willing to risk something.
Yeah, but it's like what do you risk and how does it affect you?
Exactly. Just look at the worst case scenario.
Yeah, and I suppose like a few years ago, it would have affected you. You'd have been like, "Fuck it, let's do it." But now it's going to affect you, your partner, and your son, your house. You're like, we can't go on the same holidays. We're going to go on, or we can't put them 100%. To private school. Do you know what I mean? So there's a bit of a different story as you get older. But going forward now, then looking at the way the marketplace is and the way you're looking at it, what would you keep still growing? A property portfolio? So
I think I'm currently looking at like this sort of 3 sort of main fundamentals as I've been doing the last few years. You probably touched on that, I suppose, is asset management. Effectively, this is what I've already got. How can I improve it?
Prove the income value.
Improve income and values.
Right.
You've got natural growth. But it's probably the last year or so is probably stalling a little bit. Like to think there's still a little bit of growth. So there's always that asset value, and like you're saying, you just increase. It could even just be deciding how you go about renovating this one property to increase.
We were chatting on the market update earlier. Scotland's got the top 9 out of the 10 places in the whole of the UK. Price growth, and actually Kirkcaldy's number 5. So you're saying we might not have much growth, but I think it was saying Scotland's outstripping England by double. It's like 4.9% growth. So like you say, your asses are growing naturally,
there's that one. There's a bit of diversification. Growth. So I will always grow naturally because at the end of the day, I'm increasing my assets with natural growth. They're income producing assets, and I'm not going to spend all the income I make off it because it's tax. You mean I just take what I need to take and try to
reinvest the rest.
Try to reinvest some of it. So there's always going to be growth. It's just a matter of like, I don't want to go too gung ho at any one point.
Is it ever an end goal, or what it would be before you say, I don't know, that's enough for me?
I think it's just a better quality of assets, I would say, more than anything else. I mean, there's been loads of goals with like even looking like LTV and all that sort of stuff, and even that's quite interesting.
To try and reduce it to a certain level, or? Well,
no, I think I've reduced it too much.
Right.
So I think I always had a thing where almost a semi-retirement thing was, and when potentially I don't need to grow anymore, was make sure I'm sitting 50-50.
Yeah.
And then you've thought, well, maybe it should be close to 40, 45, something. So you won't always own more. And right now, I think my LTV is less than 40%.
Right, just through the growth, and
mainly because I've had so much growth, recycling funds. I'm not paid down any mortgages, but when I've bought more properties, like I said, I bought a few recently that I've not needed to take a mortgage on, so that's really helped it. Sort of thing. Even my commercial stuff, there's no mortgages on that. We've
not touching the commercial assets yet, have we?
No, not really.
Fucking next one, to curb me at an hour. We can keep going. Sorry, Grant.
So we were going with that. So there's that kind of. There'll always be growth. It's just I don't want to go too gung ho, and that's another sort of risk thing as well. But
gung ho, because I think I was saying that it's gung ho. You're going. You could go fucking gung ho because you've sitting there at 45% loan, 40% loan to value. You could go to 75, even 80 if you wanted to go fucking nuts and go gung ho. So so there's obviously an aspect of risk mitigation all the time and growing at a steady pace that suits you. And I think it's quite good to enjoy this conversation because a lot of people who get on the podcast have built the same portfolio as you have maybe in 3 years. They haven't got the loan to value, obviously they're higher leveraged. But if you look at how gung-ho they've went fucking nuts in a year or two, and you're like, holy shit,
it's amazing to see sometimes.
Cool thing. But even you look at, you can probably sleep at nights Again, there's somebody
Aye,
75% loan to value, 8% loan to value,
and it's
bridging loans and fucking coming off them, and it is, you know it yourself, it is a fucking, during that acquisition stage and a busy acquisition stage, it is stressful.
It just goes back, and it's all, we're on this topic of risk. It's all de-risking.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to be, like I said, I'm probably too much the wrong way. Do you know what I mean? I'm too de-risking too much.
Yeah.
But it works at the moment, and it's not a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? It's
absolutely not.
And then that, what it does mean is talking about growth and the whole, that being a de-risking sort of form as well. Markets go up and down. Property less so than say your stocks and shares.
Yeah.
But as you know, there was that thing in 2000, but I didn't know about it till after I started buying. And there's not been much since, because anything that did happen was actually, like, look at the COVID times and that. It lasted like no time at all, and the increase was much more stronger than the decrease.
So are you someone that follows like the 18-year property cycle, or are you thinking that we're going to go back to when you first started, 16, 17 years ago, where there's going to become a recession or a crash?
I've always said there's going to be a crash, but I'm actually at the stage where there's not going to be a crash.
Oh, you're going to the other side of it now?
Well, I'm at a stage now where if there's a crash, I'm losing out. Right? Because obviously my values will come down. But I don't care about that.
But you're not losing out.
No, because I'll never sell them.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't need to sell them. And that's kind of the structure I've got at the moment.
But would you sell anything now? If you saw something and you thought, well, okay, I've had 16 years of good growth, these probably went up, I'm going to sell off the fucking ones I don't want. Like, take the Light Street one example, right? I can get 80 grand for it now, let's just sell that off. It's I can deploy the cash into a better quality asset. Would you do things like that?
Yeah, technically I've not sold loads off, but there's one that's always been like a fundamental buy to let that I have sold. There's one about maybe a year and a half ago sold off, just because I felt it was underperforming. There's one at the moment that I'm in discussions with the tenants that they want to move out. Again, there's been some really strong sales history on it.
Almost capitalising the market, a strong market.
I don't know if you want to go into that topic. It's Church Street.
Aye, let's do that one.
So there's so that one, and as you know, you were involved at one point in Church Street as well. It was you that
I don't know what happened with it.
Sorry,
I don't know what happened with it. Then it's not, this will be quite interesting.
Well, sorry, we'll come back to that. We'll probably finish on that risk. Sorry, we're talking about risk, and where I'm sort of going as well. Like I said, it goes back to that where my growth is so slow, and I'm trying to take the step back and not do too much of the mundane tasks. But I'm now trying to do a bit more of that gap where, and again, it's a risk in itself, basically not having that kind of trading business.
Right, yeah.
But I've stopped myself because trading business comes with risk. And with some of the sort of personal development that I've been doing over the last few months, I've already, it's kind of informally worked with a couple of people on a sort of consultancy, coaching sort of basis. Totally different than say what you're doing. We class yourself more as a trainer, took a bit of a different take on it. And I always thought I was limited to property, but I'm now learning that I'm not limited to property.
It's just one aspect to what you're doing. One aspect, and I'm a lot more into all the sort of mindset stuff. And because I know so much about business structure, fundamentals of wealth and investing. Like one guy that I was working with was just basically really good at what he'd done. He was a plumber. He could skin off like 3-4 grand per. He was doing like most of his bathrooms, 3-4 grand a bathroom. Yeah. But then it wasn't until I was able to have a different set of eyes sometimes, and amazing what value I was amazed how much value I was given. He did want to get into property, and that's how the conversation started, because he maybe has an extra 50 grand left over every year because he's not spending all his money type thing. But actually we said, well, look, why are you doing it this way? Can you not just start and do 2 bathrooms? Can you not just bring another? He was working one other guy. Bring another guy and do the 2 bathrooms. You'll still work the same amount of hours, but that then 3 grand was turning into 5 grand. Do you know what I mean? And then, I think that's where I'm kind of going. Yeah. And I'm probably need to do a lot more content. I mean, that's what will bring me here today as well. I remember, I think you asked me in the early days to come on this podcast, and I was like, that's just not me. I'm the one that sits behind closed doors. I sit on the laptop. You stay out of the way.
I'll deal with people like on site and stuff like that, and I'll have lots of meetings and that, but actually like doing something like isn't me. Yeah. And back to my own personal.
It's quite a good comfort zone, Richard, as well, and go like say a different aspect of business, isn't it?
And I'm even talking to someone at the moment about doing a podcast. again, not property related. It'll probably have that element to it as well. And yeah, very early days. It's going to be I'll develop this over the next couple of years. I mean, it's very early days, and that will then infill that gap of not having a trading business without having to put substantial investment into it. So yeah, that's kind of.
We never really touched on the management of the properties as well, because you usually self-manage them all, or
to an extent,
which is something like we. I suppose we'll get a couple of older school folk that have maybe just self-managed, but because you've been in it so long and it's been your income and your business, really your baby, you've kind of still adopted that in-house kind of management of the portfolio.
Yeah, again, it all kind of goes back to the way I usually describe it is because I've not had that trading business, I've not been able to really utilise that time anywhere else. So I've ended up trying to do everything. Right. And that's kind of one of my other fundamentals is I like to do every single stage. So like obviously I've done everything from, not a lot of sourcing, but... So
you understand all the parts.
So you take everything from acquisition stage all the way through renovation, refurbishment, whatever you end up doing, all the way through to tenant management and everything that sort of comes in between. So I think, again, these sort of call them informal mentors that I had in the early days, they all self-managed, so I went down that route. I remember speaking to other people who told me to stay clear of that, but I just said, no, this is going to be my job. It's going to be
trading job, your job day to day.
And then, but I was always aware of it's not the right way to do it, and there's nothing wrong. I always feel if you understand what's wrong and right and to what extent it's wrong and right,
plus your skill sets,
and what you enjoy. And again, it all goes back to that, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to pay 20-30 grand for them to get managed when to sit on Mars and watch TV. Do you know what I mean? But I've put certain
so if you built another trading business on the side, would you then pay a letting agent to then take over yours?
So I can dictate how little or how much I put into the management side of stuff. And the way I've ran things has been, it's probably been must have been before COVID, 6-7 years, I brought in effectively an admin assistant to do a lot of the sort of tasks that I maybe didn't like doing. So they'll kind of deal with all this, like crap with gas safeties and EPCs. So
what does the growth look like over that then? So I'm assuming when you first managed the first one, was it just you doing everything on a spreadsheet or a fucking pen and paper and just dealing with it? So as it's kind of grown, you quite systemized even up before COVID as well, like just any systems and processes you use, just for tips for people that are listening that actually self-manage, because some people do. I fucking don't know if it's not my skill set, not what I would do, but there's a lot of people that are like, I want 10 properties and I'm going to self-manage them. It's their growth.
Systemizing is key, and it comes in loads of different forms as well. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes it's even like it's not about doing more work. Sometimes it's about doing less work as well. Do you know what I mean? So, I've actually gone back to sort of spreadsheets again, and I think that is what best between me and the assistant that I use.
It's funny, I was talking to Craig Holmes and he said the same thing, and I think he's about 110 properties under management has micro-agency as well.
So I mean, like I said, there's just shy of 30 and I've trialed 2 or 3 of these management programs, and they were just too complicated, and it was more for like, see if you're a letting agent or and you've got literally hundreds of properties and you've got 10 people coming out of these systems, that maybe works for them.
You need the system because there's the transparency and who's on and what.
I had to create a system that worked a little bit better, and that was through spreadsheets that both of us sort of work off. And like I said, going back on how things are managed, all your compliance stuff she manages, she'll tie in with the tenant, the contractors, and I just don't know how to do that. And then even when it comes to probably what takes the most work is probably in between tenancies. So again, I'll probably get quite involved with like
a kind of check out inventories, checking inventories. I'll
outsource some of that as well. But I've even got it's just learning what you're doing. So I've got all these sort of apps and everything to do that as well. But then when it comes to, you end up just sort of outsourcing that, don't you?
Pay the 120 quid for it.
The way things are going, I'm going to just outsource more. That's just the way things are going.
So do you pay any letting agents any tenant fines or stuff like that now and again, or do you still manage all the tenants?
So again, going back to the woman that I used to do the admin, she'll basically get it listed, she'll deal with all the inquiries coming in, she'll book in the viewings, and then I'll either use a viewing agent to let the tenants have a look around the property, or even I'll go, because it's quite good for me to go as well, just to see what they're like and stuff. Because I'll make that final decision at the end of the day if they're suitable.
Having a chat with them as well and see what they're up to.
So it works.
I suppose it's still doing the bits that you know are valuable to the business as well. Like that's something that's going to be in your asset. Like I always get questioned when I go and do viewings for like flips. Why are you doing the viewings? Like I want to know, like ask the right questions. Like
100%.
Where are they moving from? What are they doing? Fucking have they got the money? That's in my best interest to make sure a sale goes through. Where an agent might, or like a viewing agent might just there's the property, go and see it. That's good. So what does your day to day look like now then in the property business? I suppose.
I mean, I suppose I don't look at that many properties, but I do get stuff passed to me every now and again. And like I put an offer in for one only a week ago, for example. It was just on market. It was I seen a strategy for it that maybe nobody else would see, and I think I was 10 grand out, sort of thing. But then when you factor in all your costs, I don't need any more properties. I mean, I'm only doing it to basically get the better quality properties, and if I end up then as I grow them, then I'll sell more of the ones I don't want type thing. Day to day, I can go through a week and hardly do anything at all with it, and I've been more focusing on
that's just on the commercial as well then, because you would diversify maybe 5 or 6 years ago into commercial property.
I've never done as much as I wanted to.
Right. It was kind of more shops, wasn't it, to start with? Just
more that kind of like just small units. So again, funny enough, first commercial that I bought was in Kirkcaldy. Kind of unrelated to anything really.
Is that the harbour one? In Harbour?
Yeah, down towards the harbour. And I've actually since sold that one on to the tenant. Did have some issues and some small issues with the tenant and stuff like that.
That was an auction purchase, wasn't it?
That was auction.
Just to take a straight 5-year FIR lease, or is it a...
Yeah, that's basically what it was. I so in a way, but there was a clause in it about, so there was issues with the roof, but there was kind of clauses in it that could have pushed that onto me.
Right.
Ended up selling that one.
Did make money off it? Do you like that?
Yeah, you got 20-30% markup on what I bought it for, and I was getting like 12% yield over the 5 years I owned it.
It wasn't bad use of the deployment of the cash that was sitting there then. But I gave you a bit of an appetite for some more commercial then.
Yeah, so I think after selling that one, I ended up buying X-Book. Well, sorry, not X-Book. X-Book is now, it was occupied by William Hill.
Right.
Purchased one of them. Just literally
with William Hill sitting in it as well.
Sorry?
With William Hill as a tenant.
They were the tenant in it.
How long was left on their lease when you bought it then?
Well, it was 15 years, but it's one of them where you get a break clause in a commercial lease. So it was a 3-year break clause, and they were in there from at least 1994 or something like that.
Right.
So they're in for a long time, and you always wondered, like, are they ever going to move out? So you could put a 20-year lease in. If there's a 3-year break clause, it's really a 3-year lease. Do you know what I mean? And then so they then decided to take their break at year 3. So basically only had them for 3 years.
Right.
So that was one. That actually took a bit of time. This last sort of few months, I've now just got a tenant in it as of maybe 2 weeks ago.
Right.
They're doing a little bit, not quite, by no means a CMO model, but they're kind of taking that strategy on, because they're going to put 4 rooms into it. I mean, they've already got someone to take 1 or 2 of the rooms, and they'll just hopefully fill them out for sort of.
Did the revenue drop much from what William Hill was paying to what they were paying?
No, upped it.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, up to about 30%.
Superb. So it's not like you've got a William Hill and you've got some local business that's paying less. So I suppose that differential between the covenants kind of still kept the value same, if not more. Then
absolutely. I mean, sometimes it doesn't always matter with the covenant strength as well to an extent. I mean, when I bought it, I think because you were always aware there wasn't much competition that was going after that one, and you're maybe always aware that they might not always be there for that long. So you almost just go back to the bricks and mortar value, really. Yeah.
What was I suppose with that one then, it shows I suppose the downside of commercial then when the tenant does vacate, and if they vacate earlier, their break clause, then you're sitting with a liability going, well, I'm actually not making income now.
So I mean,
but it didn't sit that long.
Sorry,
it didn't sit that long empty.
It was almost. It was technically never really empty. So the way I structured that one was they vacated the property before the lease, the 3-year was up type thing. So they've still been paying the rent.
I wonder what changed in their business then that they decided to join the model, that they've just decided to pull that one.
I think it just must have been footfall.
High Street, just so traffic going down.
Yeah, where it is it's in up the Broxburn Uphole. So it's right on the sort of corner where you've got all the traffic, the red lights coming down, and it's really visible right on the corner. It's a bit that's fully occupied in that little bit, and I think there just wasn't enough footfall. You've not got the pub goers anymore. You've not got the parking's not the best. It was like round the back and it's like on street parking. So you're like, I don't know, maybe you're tradesmen and people stopping by and going in and all that sort of stuff. I think it's just everybody does it on their phones now, don't they?
Right. Oh, so, I never thought that. Actually,
and they've got one in Broxburn itself, and I think just having two close together didn't work for them.
Right.
Which is fair enough. And I always knew that.
Was something you anticipated? Like,
100%. I mean, it'd be great to have them going on total hands off
for 20 years, just sitting there.
Exactly. But that's just the way it goes. And again, I de-risked it from the. I made sure my price,
your purchase price.
All that.
So when you was that on the market then?
I think it was actually on the auction purchase.
And was that with a kind of seller trying to get like a 10 times multiplier on it based on the volume?
I think I ended up buying it at 11%.
Aye.
Yeah.
So was that did you de-risk it by buying it for that price, or was that kind of the risk and shit you've got on a 20-year multiplier?
Yeah, because you'll find some of these sort of type of tenants. I see ones coming up like 5-6% and stuff like that. Maybe better locations, right enough, like city centres and stuff like that. But sometimes city centres are worse. What worse do you mean? Because at the end of the day, like
no traffic.
Exactly. So there's these sort of fundamentals, just trying to like look at all these different aspects of like this sort of a thoroughfare and all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. And was plan B, you always knew there was a decent footfall, decent passing traffic. You'd always get that one rented. It wouldn't have been a hung. It was going to be sitting there with a liability for a year or two, sitting empty and shit.
So I literally had a 2-day vacancy. They effectively ended their so they had to surrender it. So actually they had to pay me another few months rent and all the dilapidations as well. So I got a payment from William Hill. Right. The new tenant is going in, they're getting a...
How did dilapidations work for someone that'd been in since 1994 then?
That was a bit more tricky. That was definitely more tricky. So I didn't maybe get as much as I could have got.
So just for the listeners that to explain what dilapidations is then, just for the listeners that maybe didn't understand the commercial terminology of it.
Yeah, so effectively it's two terms. It's kind of the condition of the property and any changes that they make to the property. So you put a value on that, and so from the offset of a tenancy, any condition that's deteriorated and any changes they've made to put back to how it was when they got it, that's your sort of dilapidations payment. Can
they do it, or can they just pay you the money for the value?
I think they can do it, but I'm yet to hear of it being done.
Most people just want out.
They give you the money,
20 grand, 30 grand, whatever it is.
And then this new tenant, albeit they've got a rent-free period, they're going to chuck like a 20 grand, 30 grand renovation into it.
Brilliant.
So I'm giving them 6 months or so rent free.
So you get dilapidation costs back. It's kind of covering you for the rent free period.
Do you mean?
Yeah, they get their time to go and put the money into it, and then you get the income coming in. That's a good asset. Yeah, good strategy for commercial, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's not like the active strategy that people are talking about, your CMO models and stuff.
No, it's not as active. No, it's more than passive, isn't it?
It's still flipping good passive income, isn't it? It's still going to be a good return on that.
Aye.
On the new tenancy, then, how long are they signing up for?
So they are, I think, 15 years or 10 years, and it's a 5-year break this time.
Yeah. So, what kind of return will that give you on purchase price and what you put into it then on the new rent?
That's got to be 15%, 14%. That's sort of figure.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see like diversification in a portfolio as well, because people just go like, I'm going to go back to let, I'm going to go and say, but it's nice to do HMOs. I think we've covered what buy to let, HMOs, essays, and now commercial property. So
we didn't even talk much about the sort of the other. We talked a little bit about stuff like number of plates and watches, but now we talked about my second biggest one is stocks and shares. But that's my other biggest one as well. So I've got I almost manage that percentage, and I put more and more in, and I've really started to kind of understand it. Always just a little bit, but you give it off to your financial advisor, and you just forget about it. Then I started to, again, going back to like what I've done with property, I've been doing more of the active stuff, like on some of the like I bought up an ISO over the last sort of 5-6 years and sort of funding that every year, and I've kind of got it back to front where my financial advisor has been taking his fee by doing a passive sort of investment. I've been doing the more active, and it's passive within it, but more active, and I'm now actually handing that over to him, because I've kind of understand it. I can now hand it away, because it's now worse than you're taking advice off something you don't understand it.
You can tell you anything and you're just going to run with it.
But now that I've done it, I can now pass that on.
But now when somebody's telling you, a professional telling you something, you know what they're talking about, and you can question it and give your take on it and make it suit you.
Exactly, yeah.
It's having those understanding the fundamentals. Like, people do want to try and just pass something off or take someone's advice and just run with it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's been I'm going to get grief in it because we've went over an hour, mate, but this has been
that's just what we've been here keeping.
Ken, you kept us on track. No, this has been a really good chat. I hope everyone's taken a bit of good vibe from it because we have covered from, I suppose, someone that's just been an investor, an investment portfolio as a business since leaving school, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So, and it's nice to hear the honesty and like the kind of transparency on the different strategies and what works, what's not worked. And I think it's quite interesting as well. Like people look at it from a young age as well. I think it's like property just to get rich, or we'll trade this, we'll flip that. But like this has been 16 years for you, and it's you can see the growth coming in fruition because of time in the market, not time in the market.
I know, and there's elements that I feel I'm just starting. Even that's the thing. I'm just starting my more sort of like trading element. I'm just sort of, even the asset management, the true asset management, only been in the last 5 years. Do you know what I mean? So
that's cool.
There's more and more to do.
Where can people reach out to if they want to kind of connect with you, follow what you're up to? You're going to be posting more on social media, aren't you? So.
Yeah, definitely. I'm starting. Whether I use my current social media or do something new, I'm not too sure yet. So I mean, LinkedIn won't change. I'm on LinkedIn. It's a good way to contact me, and probably second to that is Instagram as well. Right. So just Jordan Robb. I think it's currently on Instagram's Jordan Robb Property, which I might be changing.
That might change.
But end of the day, you'll easily get me on either of them.
Nice one, mate. Thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate the conversation.
It's been great.
Cheers.